Hey, what's up? I'm Al Cox. I make games, play games, and everything in between. And today we're going to be taking an inside look into the preset Dogfight. So Dogfight's a pretty cool one. So, just playing Dogfight, this is pretty cool. The ability to just have a guy shooting and you got enemies and you got to avoid the walls and just kind of go through the levels. I think I would maybe change up the speed to be a little bit faster, but yeah, so we got enemy characters that fade away once they're hit. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. So I think the first thing I want to jump on is ignore is the defeated animation. All the enemies have a defeated animation in which basically the character goes from one size to invisible, to small. Next, I think super important is the character has a bullet. So this bullet is right here and follows the character has a spawn rate. So it automatically spawns a new character bullet. Now let's see what that character bullet looks like. Okay, so collision type, no collide, destroy enemy. Whereas in a character bullet would be collision type, collide, destroy enemy. I believe that's correct. Let's take a look. We can easily, oh wait, it is no collide. Oh, but if I change it back to platform, then it's collide. Okay, so this was a platform that was set up to function as a character bullet. So changing it to character bullet just no longer makes it a platform. Cool. So I think another good thing to note is that these walls, these platforms, they say platform, but they're actually set up as enemy, which is fine to have a platform be an enemy. You just also then need to give it health. And here we can see that these platforms have health. And then I suspect that these platforms are just, some of them are just regular platforms. Nope, these are also enemies. Yeah, because they're all platforms. So now we have the character and the bullet. And actually, I want to zoom in on the character and the bullet again because put on debug mode, it looks like the character's center is a little bit off, or maybe that's on purpose. And where is the enemy bullet? Right here. Okay. Cool. Okay, so let's look at some of the character enemies in the world. Here, I believe we have wake up spawners for enemies. But where are those enemies? I don't even see them. They're invisible. Oh, it's got to move some things around. Find these hidden enemies. And how do they do? What they do is they have wake up spawners. And these wake up spawners have a sleep distance and a wake up distance. Not exactly sure sleep distance in pixels. So the object will just like fall asleep after moving. So essentially when this character gets within 400 pixels, it wakes up and then the linear velocity is activated to move it out like this. And then once it gets 150 pixels, it stops moving. And that's how all these work. Trying to get it back to get these, yeah. And then let's watch that again. So 400 pixels gets activated and then goes 150 pixels and stops. Very cool. Okay, cool. So now we have enemies and I wonder, do these guys spin or rotate? Oh, they do a little bit. Okay, cool. These guys are all connected in the middle. But what's in the middle? Let's take a look. How are these connected to each other? There is enemy. There's got to be something in the middle. Ah, so it's a platform. Okay, so there's a platform inside of all of these, and the opacity is set to 0. There it is. There's that platform. Now this platform is just set to 0 opacity, and no collide, no destroy. So it's pretty much almost like a decoration, because the decoration is up here, and the decoration is also set to no collide, no destroy. And these are just all connected. And then if you do this, oh, and then you have a random ability of rotation. So let's just go ahead and move this to 1545. And actually, you can select all the platforms minus all these platforms that are in the center. And because they're all set up pretty much the same, you can then change them in a similar manner. So here, angular velocity 15, 45, and let's see if there's anything else I wanted to do. So because all these numbers here are the same, you know that all the platforms have the same linear velocity of 0, y velocity is 0, opacity set to 0. But if one of them is different, if just one of them is different, then it'll show you the dash, dash, dash. So obviously they all have different x, y positions, and so this is why it's here. If we were to do 320 by 560, then they would all be right here. But let's not do that. That was just for an example. And now when we go into this world, they're all spinning a little bit more. And because my gun is not firing, I have to be more careful on how I maneuver. Oh, see, I'm dead. Okay, I just keep dying. Let's see, this last one is we have permanent spawners. Okay, cool. So these are just enemy triangles that are firing from here. And if we wanted to, we could even add like a platform and try to give it the appearance of some kind of gun area so we know where they're coming out of. Oh, and you know what? Let me show you one thing actually. Grab this example here. So now this has a linear velocity of y10. Now here the rotation is set to -230, but if you put it to 0, this is the standard xy coordinate that Buildbox sees this enemy as. 0, 0 facing up, and that's why if you have a linear velocity of x10, it'll go up forward. And whatever angle you have it at doesn't matter because it'll still go in that direction. So this is one of the little things in Buildbox that you have to keep in mind when setting an enemy, let's say bullet or just an enemy firing at someone, is to keep in mind the linear velocity of how the object is when it's at 0, and then change it accordingly. So let's go ahead and move this back to 230. And actually it was already there, so let's delete it, and then we can go back and check out this level. And you can see where the enemies are going to come out of. Obviously, it's not perfect, but that was kind of the idea I was going for. And lastly, I think these are these connected or anything? No, these are just straight enemies moving at a linear velocity of 3 down. So that was an inside look into Dogfight, the Buildbox preset. Hope you learned a lot. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.